We live in a world where anime is the most accessible it's ever been. You can legally watch just about every new anime that comes out these days at the click of a button and download them with another click of a button. But that hasn't always been the case. And because of that, throughout the years, many anime have been lost to time. Today I'm going to talk to y'all about some lost anime that interests me personally. I am going to make more of these lost media videos in the future, not only anime ones like this video on this channel, but non-anime lost media vids on my other channel, Eddie Hates Everything. So while today you may see a lot more well-known pieces of lost media being discussed, in the future I definitely plan to talk about some more obscure and lesser known topics. But for today, I just said, hey man, let's talk about some fun ones that I personally would love to see, and since it's going on the anime channel, let's make them anime. And if you're wanting to go down this lost media journey with me, fasten your seatbelts, as it is now time to go crazy in this noisy, Bizzare town. Subscribe. Number 1. The Lost 2007 JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood movie adaptation. In 2007, Studio APPP, or App, I don't know, I'm just gonna call it APPP, the studio behind Project Eiko, a movie that I love, released the hour-and-a-half film covering part 1 of the JoJo's manga in theaters across Japan. However, after never finding a suitable distributor, it never released anywhere else, let alone anywhere outside of Japan, and the film faded away into obscurity, never to be seen again. There isn't an official reason from what I know, but it seems the common consensus is that it was due to a mix of poor reception for the movie, as well as them losing the adaptation rights for JoJo's overall for a part 3 controversy later. At first I saw some reports that Araki hated the movie, but I think that's just a case of misinformation because it's good gossip. We need to stop talking about Araki forgot and start addressing JoJo fans forgot or some shit. I feel like these motherfuckers just like making up shit sometimes. There is a test pilot from 2004 for this movie that you can watch right now, but none of the footage in this pilot actually made it to the final film. It is still cool to me to see different takes on adaptations of the manga that I know and love in general though, so it was a dope watch. It'll be linked in the description of the video. The biggest allure for me personally is seeing an adaptation made at a time where the animation techniques and art stylizations closer reflect the time period the manga was made. Now, in a perfect world that would be an 80s or 90s adaptation obviously, but 2007 style seemed a lot closer to that time than 2012, because even though those two adaptations are only 5 years apart, the techniques and acceleration in how animation is done from David Pro and the rest of the anime creation sphere at that point was a big enough leap to make the difference that much more noticeable, while Studio APPP still having that older kind of way of doing things, as you can see the way that the movie looks in comparison to the current JoJo's anime. It's either that or the actual leap in animation styles from when people first started using digital animation to a few years later was such a big leap, or maybe I'm just looking at it through the wrong lens. Either way, not my point here. I just think it's an interesting idea to think about. Because for example, the part 3 adaptation being made in the 90s, which is a lot closer to when it was written than any other JoJo's adaptation, it really created a cool vibe. It has this nice, edgy kind of vibe that you just don't get in the current part 3. Once again, I wouldn't trade the new adaptation for the world. I would just like to see these older adaptations as well, to see what they thought about this material and adapting it back then. And no, I don't just mean art style here. I could see how the way I'm explaining it makes it seem I'm just confusing art style for animation, but no, I mean everything in terms of like the lighting, the color palettes. The art style is some of it, of course. Even like small choices like how in the new anime they made Jonathan's hair blue and in the original it was brown. It's just a lot of little things like that that I think about when I make this statement. I think that the craziest thing about this lost media is that 2007 was not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. With a theatrical release as well, there has to be a copy somewhere, right? Or maybe it's just copium, I don't know. Apparently it's been uploaded somewhere, but until I see it with my own eyes, it does not exist. Of course, I think the anime adaptation we eventually got was so perfect in many ways, not only for part 1, but for all the parts, but like I already mentioned, I just think it'd be cool to see a different version of the story. But from what I read, Speedwagon isn't in the movie, so is it really worth watching? Without Best Girl? Number 2 on this list is the JoJo's Battle Tendency movie. Now, while I'm sure everyone already knew about the first Lost JoJo's movie, did you know about the second? Well, I didn't until I started working on this video. And it turns out I got baited. This shit does not exist. When I was working on this video, I came across a Lost Media wiki page of a possible Battle Tendency adaptation in movie form. And it was so convincing. It said all sorts of believable reasons it didn't move forward to being finished or released. It also showed possible storyboards and things, and other pictures of just, oh, this is materials, this is proof that the movie was gonna be made, and that they were working on it before shutting down. But it turns out that all that is actually from the part 2 recaps in the part 3 OVAs, because as we all know, part 3 is kind of the encapsulation of all the first 3 parts of JoJo's, and the true ending for that first saga, not just a part 3 story, it's a part 1, 2, and 3 story. But they almost got me. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point it was in Studio APP's plans to make a part 2 movie, but this wasn't it. I would like to hope there's another universe out there where this movie did get made. Would have been pretty cool. I don't get why this always happens to Araki though. Why must he be fated to lose media? But Eddie, it only happened twice and one of them wasn't even real. Yes, it would be kind of weird if it happened twice, but not impossible. Haha, you fools. Silly mortals. There stands another! The actual number 2 for today is The Bottle. The Bottle by Hirohiko Araki, written when he was just 17 years old. The Bottle was a one-shot manga manuscript that was submitted for a contest and was a final candidate for the 14th Tezuka Award. And yeah, since it didn't win, it didn't get released. But it's okay, I'm sure this young mangaka has a bright future ahead of him anyways. This one's probably just a stack of papers and a random Japanese dump. I would like to say, oh, there's no way a creator, especially a mangaka, would completely throw away their hard work and it's just lost to the public, but not to him. However, maybe Araki forgot. Jokes aside, my theory is that Araki has it and just can't release it legally or has no reason to at all. It's so old at this point, he probably actually doesn't remember it. It's okay though. This story was obviously just Whole Horse's origin story. Look at the cowboy hat. Hope it's found someday. Still crazy how much lost Araki media there is in this world. But Eddie, it only happened 3 times. Yes, it's kind of weird to happen thrice, with one of them not even being real, so actually twice, but not impossible. Haha, you fools. Silly mortals. There stands another! We'll talk about JoJo's Kitchen another day, actually. Let's move on. Number 3. K-On! In 4:3 ratio. I'm gonna be honest, at first I didn't believe that this one actually existed. I just thought it was an edit that caught some steam in the lost anime community, but it actually does exist. This is another learning moment for me, as my initial thoughts were that 2009 was not that long ago, and I was pretty shocked that it didn't make it to any form of home release. I guess VHSs were already being phased out around that time, because I feel like that's where this version would go. But as we all know, media can be lost at any time. Almost makes me sad when I delete even random videos I accidentally take on my phone. It could be a 2-second clip of me sneezing, and I'd be hesitant to delete it, because what if I want to watch it later? Do I want to watch it later? Most likely not. But what if I do? It'd be too late. It's lost media. Back to the topic at hand though, despite this only being 15 years ago, only small traces of this version can be found, such as this small clip here. It's unlikely that this video is faked or cropped to pretend it's a found version, as it was uploaded literally the exact same day the episode was aired, and maybe at some point the uploader had the whole episode or more of the series recorded as well, but I doubt they have the whole series, and if they did have anything else, that shit's probably long gone. But I'll repeat myself again, just like media can be lost at any time, it can be found at any time, and in the most random of places. To have a copy of this, you would either have to be the creators of the series, a viewer who recorded it off the TBS broadcast, or maybe TBS themselves. I don't know. I found a couple other little tidbits that mentions this version's existence, such as this tweet and this screenshot from the ending theme song. And even though I wouldn't watch this version over the 16:9 as a first viewing experience if I had the choice, it would be nice to see it on old school TV or something to kind of transport myself to that era and be able to see the series through the lens that a lot of people originally saw it through. Or maybe not a lot of people. I don't know. There's barely any fucking people talking about this version, so maybe like 2 people saw it. Maybe it is fake. I'm just kidding. I don't have many other comments on this one. But speaking of comments, you should comment what lost anime media bothers you the most, in terms of it bothers you that it hasn't been found. For me, it's definitely the Phantom Blood movie. That's why I put it in the video, but there are plenty of others out there. Let me know. Moving on to the second to last lost anime for this video. Another big one, because I'm too lazy to report anything original and do my own original research. Number 4 is the very first Doraemon series. Before the Doraemon anime we all know and love started in 2005, there were 2 other anime adaptations, one being the 1979 adaptation, and the first being the lesser known 1973 adaptation. The first attempt at adapting this now legendary manga was actually pretty successful ratings-wise. After airing 52 segments, or 26 episodes, it was considered being extended for another year, but financial problems. The president of the company producing the series had also left abruptly, and his replacement apparently didn't hold the series in very high regard. And on top of that, the studio dissolved later due to the financial problems I just mentioned, so I don't think there was any world where this adaptation continued with all that was going on around it. It was rebroadcast for a few years until 1979, when it was pulled off the air as the next Doraemon adaptation had begun, and they didn't want the old series to affect the current adaptation's reputation. Another reason is that they didn't want the kids confusing the 73 version with the 79 version, which was the new version at the time. Which is funny, because when I think about it, as a kid, they aired both original Pokemon at times, and whatever the newest Pokemon series was at the same time. Maybe not the same days. I think it was on 2 different channels. It was on Boomerang and Cartoon Network. I only know about Boomerang because for a few months, I got it for free on Dish, and then later on they just took it away because we didn't pay for the good Dish. we only paid for that basic shit. But there was a time where I got to watch both, and I wouldn't question the differences. I was just like, ooh, more Pokemon. But I get their line of thinking. Over the years, there's been audio, promotional material, and some other things that have been found, but there's still a great chunk missing. I mean, a huge chunk missing. There was practically nothing. I guess the 70s really were a time when home video recordings weren't that common and nobody put thought into preserving media. I was born in the 2000s, so I take everything for granted. I'm sorry, Grandpa. I will never complain again, as I am so spoiled. Media never gets lost these days. Remember how earlier I mentioned lost media can be found in the most random of places? Well, this is one example. For a series with little info at all about it, barely any surviving footage and audio, in 2015, it was discovered that a clip of the series lived on through a 70s porno. I know damn well they weren't going out of their way to preserve it in that fashion, but either way, I salute you gooners. With a few episodes of the original Doraemon adapting manga content not even covered in the later 1979 and current 2005 adaptations of Doraemon, I would love to see it. I know they changed shit, like a decent amount of shit, and people don't like it for that reason, which makes sense, and I don't blame them. I kind of also love the stylized designs. I mean, look at Doraemon himself, so big, fluffy, and cute. I would like to see it, just because once again, the fact that it's lost makes me want to see it that much more. If this shit was available, I honestly probably wouldn't watch it. I like Doraemon a decent amount, not my favorite series in the world. Maybe if I was a Japanese child who grew up watching this, it'd be different, but I was a Mexican child who grew up watching Goku. Now, if original Dragon Ball, for example, was lost, ooh, I'd be cooked. I'd be crying. But thankfully, that's not the case. In regards to surviving Doraemon 1973 episodes and the possibility of them ever being released to the public, chief producer of the series, Hiroshi Shimazaki, said this: "Dear American fans of Doraemon, thank you for the email. In 1973, we broadcasted NTV Doraemon for a long time. I thought that it was completely forgotten. So in 2003, I made a website about it. I got lots of emails from people saying that they wanted to see clips from the show. So I made a membership page with a username and password and uploaded the opening and ending. Within a few minutes, I had heard that someone with access to the page had uploaded both clips onto another page, Tuchan. I removed the clip from my site right away, but because I gave it away only for a moment, it is now all over YouTube and other sites. Due to me uploading it, I got in some trouble with the law. I am resolving this issue now, but because of that, I will refrain from uploading the footage online, though I have made it available at lectures and such for research use. While Doraemon is still on the air, I am not allowed to release the footage. I hope you understand." So a couple things here. The OP and ending debacle that I haven't mentioned until now is the reason we have one of 3 surviving pieces of video evidence of the show, the second being a preview clip for episode 3, and the third being the porno I mentioned. There could be others, but I believe that's it. Tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Next thing I wanted to focus on was his last sentence. "While Doraemon is still on the air, I'm not allowed to release the footage. I hope you understand." I might be wrong, but it sounds like he's referring to Doraemon in its entirety, not just the opening and ending here, and if anyone were to still have copies, it'd be him. It just seems like we'll have to wait till Doraemon is completely finished to see it, which means never. I included this in my list despite it being such a popular lost media, because even though Jojos is my favorite one and the one I want to see the most on this list, this is the one that fascinates me the most on this list. Maybe it's because it's confirmed to exist. There's a pretty big possibility that it all survives in some form, but we can't see it until certain copyright stuff happens, and knowing that a piece of lost media is intact and out there and that someone can see it, just that someone not being you, is a bit rough. There's a great video about this from All Things Lost about this. I would recommend you all check it out. It's actually how I found out about this one. There's also a lot of stuff I left out about all of these lost media here today, as I'm just trying to give a basic rundown. I'm not a lost media channel, I'm just trying to get into the space a little bit, so this is a bit of an entry-level video, so my fan base can get into the lost media rabbit hole with me, as I'm really big into lost media, but I've never made lost media content before. So if you're interested in doing your own research, please do so, or watch other lost media creators as they break it down so much better than I do. But for my last words on the case of Doraemon 73, I subscribe to the theory that it was preserved somewhere, and we will see it someday. Speaking of subscribing, you already know. Please subscribe. Please. I need it. Let's move on to number 5. Number 5 in the last lost media of today is the Lost One Piece recap special. On December 11th, 2015, a special recap episode recapping episodes 207 through 219, the Long Ring Long Land arc, aired once. in Japan. It was never released on home video, and yeah, it's lost. That's basically the textbook definition of not found. Unlike other recaps though, it allegedly contains new animations rather than using pre-existing footage from the episodes being recapped. All that exists of it are screenshots, and no known footage is out there. There's also this page promoting the special's release and discussion about the recap on the MyAnimeList website, but that's all I could find. This is a pretty cool one considering that One Piece is one of the biggest and highly rated anime out there, and that this is a recap from the main series, not a separate adaptation like others on this list. I wouldn't know whether these screenshots are from new footage or look the same as the original, as I've only ever read the One Piece manga, and animation-wise, I've only ever seen the movies and the original One Piece OVA. So if anyone could tell me whether these look new or are from the original anime, that'd be a big help. I wonder what the reasoning for never releasing this to the wider public was in the first place, but if this is ever found, I would love to see it. Even if it's just a normal recap with old footage, it would still be an interesting find, as a recap episode being lost is just so random to me. Kind of forcing this this transition here, but yeah, I would like to see it. Speaking of likes, haha, I did it. You didn't think I could do it, I did. Like the video. Okay, time for the outro. Now, one piece of content I can guarantee you will never become lost media is this video. Unless you guys don't like, comment, and subscribe right now. I will delete this shit. I am not lying. This fucking video will become lost media in the blink of an eye. I'll also be linking the lost media wikis for everything I talked about here today. If you wanted to do some of your own reading, get those summer reading logs done. Also be sure to follow my Instagram for content updates and fire pics, bruh. What other lost anime media should I talk about? What non-anime lost media should I look into? Let me know in the comments and I'll read all of them because I'm a loser with nothing better to do. And yeah, that's the video. Leave. Now. Please. You're making me uncomfortable. Stop looking at me. Bye.